Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, LinkedIn. Hello to everyone that is here because Asana is down and they don't know what to do. Which is what I did for the last hour. Today, I have with me Chris Carolan and Riley Powell, and I am Casey Hawkins, and we are talking about lead scoring. But more than that, we're talking about what does lead scoring look like in an evolved portal, HubSpot portal specifically. Chris is the creator of the value path, which include, is it 8, right? 8 different stages that take where people actually are in plain language. So rather than looking at people as leads and MQLs, looking at them as researchers, hand raisers, and then also looking beyond that purchase. So often in lifecycle stages, we look at that purchase and then that's the end of that person's journey. But we know in reality, it's just the beginning often of an ongoing relationship and an ongoing exchange of money, to be honest. So where does lead scoring fit into all of that? And Riley is here with us today. Riley has been implementing value first scoring with us and is I don't want to say a skeptic of the value path. I think you're a believer in the value path, but you're a skeptic on where it sits, right? Is that fair?
Yeah, I'm not even skeptical. I'm just I'm trying to figure out where do I start building it and tracking it, and where is it managing system things, where is it not managing system things, just taking the concept of it. Great, I'm on board. Now, where exactly does it exist in ones and zeros inside of a HubSpot system, and how is that doing things?
Yeah.
Yep.
And if you missed the session last week, we kind of introduced to this concept. For anyone new here today, because Asana is down, Chris, can you give a little bit of background on us?
So one of the casualties of the tech snow day.
Yeah.
Today.
Yeah.
So value first exists to help people make common sense decisions that they know in their soul are right, versus just doing the same things that they know are wrong every day, right? And I think it's important. So what Riley mentioned of how to manage systems, right? That's what he's trying to get to. We don't have it that easy if we're trying to make this change. We have to manage the people first in order to make these kinds of changes, because none of our systems were built in this way. They're all built for the lead, MQL, SQL, which has been existing since 2000, right? And everything's been built around that. So I think there's some important underlying assumptions that if we can agree on, then it makes sense to try to make something of this. If we can't agree,
yeah,
right,
lay it on me.
And it's not about the how. The how it's gonna be a mountain to climb no matter what. But if we can agree on the why first, right? So as you're introducing it, Casey, I think the phrase that's super important, and again, good marketers, we find ways to message things that are easy to consume and people agree with, they resonate with emotionally. We need to humanize the process, right? Because I'm at the point where, why in the world would we do things as customer-facing people that we would not like done to us? We do this to other human beings. When in reality, if you face to face with somebody, you would not do it. You would not behave in this way, because you cannot dehumanize them in the moment that they are a human in front of you. But when they are on the other side of a call, or on the other side of an email, or even on the other side of a video call, I was just talking with Tony about this. the moments where we can't get the other person to break script
Mhm.
from the discovery call playbook is because finishing the playbook with all the right answers is more important than the human on the other side of the screen because they've got KPIs to hit and it's their job. They've been put in a position, is nothing against them. They've been put in a position to where the measurement and the data is more important than the human on the other side. Right. And this whole process is about creating a space for that stuff to stop happening. Right.
Mhm.
Because the only way I can fathom, and I think like there's plenty of research to show, like in lots of places of life, if you want a specific behavior, like you have to dehumanize the other side
Mhm.
and then you'll get that behavior. But then when you put two people together, like, and they're both humans together, like everything else like goes out the window because we know how we want to be treated. So that's where it's a deep place, right? Of where we're coming from.
Mhm.
But like I'm open to like other explanations of how really good people do really non-valuable, untrustworthy things like during, sales and marketing process.
Um,
So yeah, I've got I'm with you. So you're saying that as it relates to the value path framework and life cycle stage and kind of whatever in terms of a system, that the place to start is the value path perspective for, let's just say, like your sales team to be able to understand that the people on the other end of these calls are in these kind of value path stages that are not necessarily like and them being in those stages is more conducive and constructive to them having earnest, legitimate conversations with these people because they're not in these kind of internally oriented, like I have to check box for MQL to proceed to SQL stage when they're having this conversation.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yes, basically. I mean, this is the challenge that RevOps has signed up for, by the way. You
Right.
have
Yeah.
to build an internal system in a way that it's not about the internal system, right? Because that's where you start to get in trouble and you prioritize the system and the process over the people involved, right? And we do things like the person came in and was so bought in already because marketing did their job and they just bought like on the spot.
Mm-hmm.
So the salesperson, like the great salesperson they are, did not want to get in the way of that, help them close immediately before the deal was ever even in the system. So when we bring it in to make our system work, we have to pretend that the person went through all the stages when they did not, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that is like to make our internal systems work, we are distorting reality, right?
Mhm.
And that kind of distortion is what ends up in the processes and the like, well, if that's the reality I got to live in because I'm internally hooked to the system, then I can't worry about the human on the other side because
Yeah.
right? Because that's not my job. My job is to maintain the system and to look at scores and qualify and do all these other things instead of help somebody buy.
Well, so to me, and this might just be a personal thing, and maybe most of the people that are doing RevOps to a certain extent are entrenched in this, but I always completely exclude anomalous data like that because it's going to always happen. I'm not trying to put that example into the framework of what we're trying to report on because previously, let's say a year plus ago, that was 5% of people. I think we're moving into a world that we're going to have to. So I'm trying to report on like the other 95% of the people that are coming in through the standard way. Now, to your point in the future, that's going to disappear because everyone's going to come in like that person. They're going to come in fully ready to buy with me having no visibility into what they know, who they've interacted with, what pages they've seen, or anything like that, because they've done all of their own research and buying readiness journey inside of AI or in some other system that I don't have access to. So like there's a part of this that is trying to understand what we're discussing where we are now, but also making room for the fact that where we are now is dramatically going to be changing. Like we don't necessarily need to figure out how to convert a lot of this into an existing system because those systems aren't going to really be optimal.
Right. I think there's an opportunity to create that system. And if we want this reality that we're describing, it's yet to be created, right?
Okay.
Like every system is based on the demand waterfall from Serious Decisions based in 2006. And like, it's on us, I think, practitioners to say, okay, HubSpot opened the door, let us rename lifecycle stages. Why haven't we?
Yeah.
Like, why would they do that if they didn't see some writing on the wall?
Mm-hmm.
Right. And so like if we can agree, so can we agree that like the dehumanized process versus humanized process, like if we get to humanized process with humanized language, that's how you can get to a different behavior, because you can't avoid the fact that you're trying to build relationships with humans and there's no tricks.
Yeah. So I think the context that I'm coming at this from that I need, let me clarify this and I can then suspend which one I need to suspend. I'm kind of always looking at this through the idea of converting an existing system in place into this newer system. And to me, that comes baked in with just a lot of questions and like struggles. And like, I think what could get me there at least better for the initial conversation, and then we kind of backfill that problem, is like, let's pretend that we're just starting a new account for someone that is like attempting to operate in this model as a business. Not like, how do I bring this company with its existing records and existing automations with an existing exec board that talks in all of this terminology into this? Because to me, that involves bridging a lot of these gaps that like, I just don't know how to even begin to have that conversation without us taking like a week. So like if we can try and start it from all right, let's just say that we're going to build this system for a new company and this is the first system that exists.
Mm-hmm.
That will help me like understand what is being built and the process that is going to exist. And then I think we'll create these endpoint nodes that I can try and then map current state to future state, or at least which ones don't map, which ones do, etc.
So on the morning show today, George was, I forget even what update we were talking about. Oh, it was the customizing. Now you can customize quick filters in your views. Great update. Happy with that. George mentioned happy about it, but the more options there are to customize inside of HubSpot, the harder it becomes every time you go into a new portal. And I think it's similar. I mean, there's like the push and pull, I guess, here of like, if it's standardized, then people can come in and they get it immediately. Like there's not a whole, like, you have a new sales rep. They know what an MQL and SQL broadly is. Like, yes, each company is going to define that a little differently, but like broadly they know. If we're totally switching all of the life cycle stages, then I think there becomes this bigger learning curve for people.
Mm-hmm. I agree with that completely. But I will say the new model prioritize, like it actually eliminates options. It reduces 7 down to 4 and then adds 4 at the end. So I would say it's not necessarily even more confusing.
So yeah,
Right.
so I want to bring up, this is Lifecycle stages. This is your portal, Chris. So you have them set up. Subscriber, I think it's just kind of left
Needs to be
over.
deleted. Yep.
Yeah. Just needs to be cleaned up. Partner is unique to your business specifically. But otherwise, the rest are in here. Audience, researcher, hand raiser. And
Creator, adopter, advocate, champion.
so this is what it would look like.
Yep.
And I think, Riley, you may bring up a great point about it's easier to conceptualize this in a new portal, because if you're talking about an existing portal, I just had this happen in a similar way. I had a client who redid their contact status, their HubSpot Salesforce integration organization. They redid their contact statuses. Our contact status is broadly lined with lifecycle stages in HubSpot, but then they changed all their contact statuses in Salesforce, and suddenly I was like, which one of these is now an MQL? And they were like, it depends. Like, and that's, I think, what you're getting to. If we had an existing portal and we were saying we today are going to turn all our MQLs to, I don't know.
Yeah, so for me, like, first I need to fully understand and appreciate this model and what it can unlock and why it's the better method and like where it's going, to make sure that it's worth converting everything that exists in its current state into this new state. Because if I'm trying to discuss it in the conversion process, or like trying to figure out how to actually get there, I just have realized that my brain will continuously grasp at things that is like preventing me from trying to understand what is actually at the end. Like, what is the bigger picture? Because I'm sure most people in RevOps can like appreciate, like, my brain is trying to get there. So like when people make grandiose statements about like, oh, well, we just need to upload this list and do that. Like, my brain goes into a 40-step process when they say that 10-word sentence, because of all that needs to happen in an order of operation structure to like get it there. So like, if I'm trying to convert a system, my brain starts breaking it down like that. And I need to just not.
So let's not convert the system. I agree.
Let's build a new company that's operating in this structure, and like try and bring like feelings of like, okay, how this feels in an old system is lead scoring is bubbling up contacts that need to be worked to a sales team so that they can have a conversation with them. How is that done in the value path? Like, I can see and know how it's done inside of the old lifecycle stage existing HubSpot configuration, but like, what is doing what in the value path to accomplish that, like, just broad level objective?
Right. That's why we're going to go over this next layer of agreements, because you cannot call on the way it's been done, and not everything is going to automatically translate. In fact, most of it doesn't. And that's the hard part of all of this, right? The way that we've been taught to do this, the way that every system in front of us has funnel reporting, like all this stuff. Like, we know inherently that the buyer journey, the customer journey is everything but linear. Yet we don't have any out-of-the-box systems that handle it in a nonlinear way, right? So the next level. So let's say we're agreeing on humanized versus dehumanized. Like, it's bad to dehumanize because that enables good humans to do untrustworthy and non-valuable things like spam people and not break away from discovery playbooks while the person on the call is telling you to stop using your script.
Yeah, I'm with you.
So the next set of core beliefs, and this is behind all of value first. Value path is a representation, like, to try and solve for the lifecycle stage model, like, specifically, because people are in stages. They do care about different things as they move from interested to buyer to invested customer, right? So core belief number one, natural value flow over artificial control, right? Like artificial control is that I have a deadline, I have a KPI,
Mhm.
I have sales to hit by the end of the month. So everything about our process is designed for me to try and convert you before you're ready, which suggests I have control over that buying process. Let me use artificial urgency, like discounting, like all these things.
Well, even to your point of the dehumanizing part that I was like trying to chew on a little bit lines up here. Let me know if this is a good example. Or like the minute that you create these conversion reports and velocity stuff of all that the biggest thing that then gets done is all these stakeholders start to take that information and like try and use it to backfill whatever they need to accomplish. So like
Right.
if like we need to hit 20 MQLs at the end of the month, then they're just going to go and look at, all right, well, we need to make 1,000 contacts, which will reduce by half, to go into leads, and then which will reduce by half or whatever to go into MQL and reduce like, so they're just going to like go buy a bunch of contacts and shove them in this database and hope that the conversion works just
Right.
because the old system is kind of portraying it that way, that these people are just stages that they're being progressed through, and then all you have to do is like shove numbers at it to move them through.
Right. And a personal example of this, and it's why I also don't fit well as a partner, is that about 7 months in to having to doing consulting work, I knew that my managed points would fall off. Like I would not get credit for them anymore, which are important when you're wanting to tier up as a HubSpot partner. So I went and I looked for stuff to do in the portal, right? Which is for me and not for the customer at that point. Like if we've had a relationship up to that point where I'm consulting and you use me as a consultant and not to do hands-on keyboard stuff,
Mhm.
right? Like, and I think about, for me, I need the points or I need additional monies this month, which has happened also. Like as soon as I go there, I'm like, no, I can't. Like that's not how this relationship is supposed to be working. Like, and so in the interest of continuing to move through these, like, so do we agree that this natural flow, this natural like progression, like the buyer, we're doing everything in our power to make sure that we help them when they're ready, but they will not change. They will not be ready before they are ready. And if we can have a relationship like that, those are the most trusted, valuable relationships. Just like respecting natural progression, basically.
Yeah.
Fair? Okay. So number 2, empowerment over learned helplessness. Right? Like they are in control at the end of the day, whether we agree or not as a business, they have control. And if we try to hold things back as if they need us, like price, there's so many ways for them to get that information and it leads to distrust. So we are focused on empowering them with information, with help, with whatever they need to make that natural progression. Fair?
Yeah.
Okay.
I
Go for
well,
it, Casey.
well, I think where I'm struggling, and I'm a marketer by trade. That's where I come. But like you say things like the discounts and things like that, and trying to push people. But I guess my issue is like they do work. Like, I mean,
They
I
work
told
for us, not for the buyer. Like you're literally making me do something that I'm trying not to do.
It
And you're
depends, though. I
digging
mean,
into my human brain that says, oh, fear of missing out. I guess I will buy it.
I mean, I told you the other
Right.
day, I bought 3 of the same Taylor Swift albums. I
That's
don't need 3.
completely different. Like,
I
'cause
will say too,
that's
there's
why
times.
she's a customer experience case study in so many books.
Yeah.
Like, she has done it well. She has built a very loyal fan base
That will buy
that
from
is
you.
doing things like that because it's a part of the identity that you have as a human being. Like, you're a Swiftie, and Swiftie means I buy these 3 albums, or however you wanna call it, right? Like, the point is that if like, yes, it works, but does it lead to valuable, trusted, high retention relationships
I
when
mean, I
the
guess
thing
I
that worked got you to do something that you didn't want to do?
Well, so I'm going to push back on that a little bit, where there are times where I want to do something, but literally don't, just because my budget at that given point in time doesn't facilitate me doing that then. So like, there's a world where I'm like, I want to do this desperately, but it's just a little bit more expensive than what I can accomplish. And if I get a notification that they've reduced it, and it's like, oh, boom, all right, friction, like, blocker removed, I'm in. It has no negative consequences or impact
Right.
other than slightly building into my brain, especially if this is like a SaaS tool or whatever, like, this is all just made up. Like, money doesn't matter. Like, it's all just dumb. People just discount stuff whenever. But
But the difference is you told me that's what you wanted, and then I responded to that by reducing the price.
right.
So I
That's
think
not, "Hey, I'm trying to hit goals." Like, if you could sign by Thursday, like, would you do that at this price? Even though we haven't talked about your price yet, right?
Yeah.
Like, that's that's the difference between empowerment. Like, you as an empowered buyer, like, got change on the other side, like, because you started it, not, it didn't come from the other direction.
Yeah.
I mean, is the
But then
point that
go ahead.
is the point that the price drop or whatever, like, most of the time we're doing the price drop to this audience, basically. But
Oh, it could be
in
any 4 of those stages. Like, that's why, like, these underlying principles, if we can't agree on this is better than this, like, in
Mhm.
that case, empowerment. I mean, at the heart of all this is, like, abundance versus scarcity, but we
Mhm.
won't go that deep, like, today. Because we're in, like, AI is giving us a more abundant world, and, like, scarcity principles are no longer going to keep working, which, as Riley is behind what Riley said earlier about how everybody's going to be able to buy what they want when they want without going through any process. And there's going to be no more 95% or 5%. It's just everybody is in the same group. And when they come in, it's their time and we help them buy. And this whole, like, control scenario, like, no longer exists.
Because I
Right.
think so if I tie this back to lead scoring, which I don't know if we've used the term score yet in the last 29 minutes, but like, and sticking with the price thing, the price drop. So I can see a world where it is the end of the quarter, we've missed our goals, or we are missing our goal, and you offer a reduction in price to people with, like, close to whatever our score, let's say our score is 100, the score we're trying to get people to, just for easy numbers. So everybody 75 plus who hasn't purchased, we send them something to push them over. Does that not align with this? Could that align? Or is that still, I don't know.
I mean, there's an argument to say that anybody who pushed, like, felt like that empowered them to move forward.
Mhm.
Right.
Mhm.
Like, I think that's a case. But what we know, and all this is coming from a place of lead scoring systems not having been very effectively done, like
Mhm.
CRM adoption at 50%, like all these deep seated problems, right?
Mhm.
Value for a lot more than just scoring. It's just we got to figure out how to fit it into this paradigm.
Mhm.
And that's what we know is those short-term tactics do not lead to higher retention or the growth that people want. And we start making short-term decisions, and then we're always chasing the quarter, right? So how do we get out of that like cycle, the MQL hamster wheel? Like it's a well-known phrase that it's like, I guess we're just destined to always be on it. Like that's where we've been at.
Because that software that Riley bought, because you offered him 50% off because it was the end of the quarter and you were trying to get just more signups, you're trying to hit that number. When the renewal comes up and it's 50% more, it's not suddenly going to fit in your budget. So either your price reduction was not a long lasting effort, or your price is wrong, which is also like,
well, yeah, I mean, at the heart of this too is value in general, of like how much, what do I value that tool at, which is different for everybody. And so depending, like at that year, at the moment in time, I valued it at approximately the discount rate that they provided. But if a renewal comes up and my value for that tool is not increased, but they're trying to increase the price, then we're at a problem. Like,
and I think the hope in that situation is that the value is higher because you've used it and now you're like adopted it and things like that.
Yeah.
Right. And there's lots of cases to show that exists, but we also know that people do not like operate in that way. This is how you get them in the door and then just hope they keep paying the bills because that's what people do.
That's very true.
Right.
Is there?
And
there is something to be said about it's probably the best to have not offered me a discount and waited until I could have paid the full price of it to ensure that I did the requisite requirements to like onboard it correctly. Because like the reason that the value maybe wasn't there for me, this is actually the case in this example, and I can't think of one that it's actually not the case, is that it's just like that's just too much for me to do right now with everything I have going on. If I had less going on, then maybe I'm able to do it because I know that I can invest my time and effort into getting it spun up correctly to get the value from it. So,
yeah. And I'm totally guilty myself. Almost every single time I have purchased HubSpot, that has been the case. Like, I want this extra. I can pay a little more right now because I'm going to use it. I'm going to find a way. It's going to be value, right? And then you don't get there, right? And how many times is it like a lot of the HubSpot, concerns that people share is related to too much. Almost so many help requests come in as I need to get more out of HubSpot, right? But
I
let
think
me
that's almost any conversation I've had with anyone ever.
Right. And that's where when you think about if it's across the board, like this problem exists, that's where you get to the leads trap and the SaaS trap and all these things that have been built in, right? So I'm gonna read these last ones real quick, and then I want to get to Riley. Like in the world where we don't have this other baggage, like what I want to hear which questions come to mind as far as like how can this work, right? If it's a brand new system and we deliver it in this way, what are the gaps we need to fill? So the other three beliefs are wholeness over fragmentation. So like people are whole humans. We don't get to put them in this box just because this is where we need them to be in our process. AI human partnership over replacement, right? And evolution and learning over static systems. What has been so clear about the new lead scoring setup, in my opinion, is that it's definitely focused on evolution and learning over set it and forget it, right? So, with those in place, so we real quick,
can we
agree that natural flow, natural progression is better than artificial control.
Okay.
Right? Empowerment over learned helplessness. Like the buyer has the power, right? There's no way we should try to like tell them they must have our support in order to move forward with their buying journey. wholeness over fragmentation, AI human partnership over replacement, and evolution and learning over static systems. And what I'm suggesting is, even if this is like a startup and it is being built out for the first time, if we can't get those base level agreements, yes, I agree that discounting because I need more sales to try and create urgency for the wrong reasons is a bad idea, then this whole framework like goes away, right? Because it's all built on, you can like, this is all built on, at any point in this process, they could use that word to describe themselves. And it's their decision to do it, not your decision as a business.
I'm really wishing that StreamYard had like a whiteboard function.
Yeah, I know. So is an underlying assumption in this that there's nothing that the company can do to expedite someone along their buying journey?
There is always things to do that can help somebody do what they want to do. But if you like, so a good book I listened to earlier this year, Let Them, from Mel Robbins, right? Adults cannot force other adults to change.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean,
My husband would tell you
I can't force my kid to change. Like,
Right.
you can't, a human cannot force another human to do damn near anything that is internally intrinsic
So
to who they are.
unless we're digging into like influence and like how to manipulate situations, right? That's how you get people to do things that they said out front they didn't want to do in the first
Yeah.
place. So there's always ways to help people realize what the real problem is and how the solution that we offer. Like, it's all a fit conversation, like for me, because on the other side of the want to buy it now, like having the strength as an organization, say you're not ready. Like, you don't
Yeah.
have anybody in charge of your current CRM setup. Like, HubSpot's not going to just, you're still going to need somebody. So you're going to hire somebody. Are you going to like, you're not a fit for HubSpot unless you check these boxes. Right. So
Yeah.
helping people slow down and speed up is our role as a business. To find, again, this is to start relationships from a place of trust and value.
So go ahead, Casey.
Well, I was gonna just kind of come back to, like, Riley, you had mentioned last week that you could see yourself implementing this in parallel.
Right.
And to me, that looks like keeping traditional life cycle stages plus having like probably a custom field, but essentially a lead status field with the value path in it.
Correct. I don't see any world that even if it's starting a brand new company, unless the CEO of that company is Chris, like, because I don't see any world where people are willing to totally throw away the old model of doing things without validating it next to this new model of trying to like run them in parallel and showcase like here's what would have been going on in the old model, and then here's the new model and its success, and like this would have been missing data in the old one. Like, this is where like not even just like software conversion am I trying to figure out how to get a system from an old system to here, but like human psychology. How do we get people to think about this that way in a realistic way? Like, I don't think there's any world where I try and pitch this to a client or anyone, and they're like, oh yeah, I'm going to totally just relinquish all control of being able to track people managing, like going through my funnel and trying to like move them forward. I think you're right, but that doesn't mean that I don't think that business owners will like.
So tell me, like, you have to, if you're going to implement this from a not changing, like an existing structure perspective, then you have to do that. Like we
Yeah,
can't assume
so that's what I'm
baggage
saying. I would have
because
to
there are
like, I
some
would have to
hard
coach.
assumptions being made right now.
Yeah,
Like the space I'm from, they don't know anything about MQLs or SQLs. It goes lead to opportunity.
yeah.
That's it, right? And if we're suggesting that people across the board know what these terms mean, we're already in a
Oh,
bad place.
absolutely. And
Right?
there's huge differences in B2B and B2C. Like if we're trying to figure out like value path that is just agnostic of anything, that is like, how do you people perceive value and buy things? I mean,
Right. So that's where we got to start. And I think, like, again, this is in service of unified customer view, unified revenue view, unified business context, these higher order things that leaders suggest that they want. Right. So you're getting agreement everywhere else beside this is how we're going to build the system that decide, like, when you want these mission statements basically are agreed that this is how we want to operate as a business and these are the goals that we have. It's very easy to show lead MQL SQL how that doesn't serve and that it's counter. That's why I think if you the reality of putting life cycle stages right next to value path, like they're
not
antithesis,
comparable. They're not comparable.
right?
Like you would
So
have to spend more time explaining the differences between them every time than like it would be a really frustrating thing.
right.
Um,
So let's go through. Let's say fresh face. We're not
well,
making assumptions about what they do.
Then let's, for the sake of this too, because I had a question that was like, does this model permit outbounding? If we think there's, what can we do to move people through the funnel? It's outbounding, and if so, like, when do people outbound? When they're in the audience, like.
One thing you said a couple weeks, I guess, to me, Riley, was that you felt like the purpose of lead scoring was to identify when to
Expend resources.
Yes, yeah. And that's really stuck with me, and like I agree. And so for me,
like, that's what with this value path model, when are we devoting resources? Is it everyone?
It's not based on stages at all.
Yeah.
It's based on everything else that's in the CRM, right? It shouldn't be based on stages right now to begin with, unless those stages have moved to a place where these things have happened and it makes sense for me to go and try and help this person, right?
Yeah.
It's signals. It's the whole concept of signals.
Yeah.
Whether it's just we've decided that a signal is, CTO of industrial companies, and that's all we need, and that's the signal, and that's why we're doing outreach to that person, or it's a deeper level of engagement has happened, and that's the signal. Like the key of these stages is that when those signals happen, we have quick, easy views of this is where that person is in the journey, which I need a codex if it says lead MQL SQL versus audience researcher hand raiser.
Yeah.
Right? Like a bunch of the goal here is to try and use humanizing language so that we don't have so much marketing and sales misalignment, sales to service handoffs that suck. Right? So scoring or signaling is happening alongside these stages, just like with the other stages.
I mean, I will say, I'll be the first to admit, and I do this every time when I'm doing lead scoring, like all scoring it's basically your other option. If it's a drop down list of like, why am I working this person? And they filled out a demo form, I got a referral, it's blah, blah, blah. Like lead scoring is kind of the other, which is they've done a very series of actions that either we haven't packaged together to be a unique value here, or it's just aggregated research that we assume means that they like want us to talk to them or have some kind of capacity with. So like, I don't think the lead scoring necessarily is like, your top tier inbound signal, the thing that you're paying attention to. It's kind of your catch-all to make sure that, like, okay, whatever reason we're going to start working them is just there's a way to hear this person's interfacing with us a lot.
I mean, I think lead scoring does two things, in my opinion, because hand raisers are hand raisers. Like, there's just not like a whole lot. And whenever I put together a scoring criteria, I'm like, yeah, and if 100 points is our like top score, 100 points to all hand raisers, like that's fine, like that's good. But
See,
I
that's
think
where, go ahead.
I think where lead scoring comes in, and this is what I liked what you said, is like everywhere else. So if you happen to have like a pre-sales team, what are they doing? What's their like target? Who should they be connecting on LinkedIn with, Chris? I'm not saying who they should email with, but like who should they be connecting with on LinkedIn maybe? But also from marketing's perspective, like top score of 50, everybody maybe 25, or top score of 100, maybe everyone 25 to 50 is kind of incorporated more in some of our marketing campaigns, whether those be ad audiences, whether those be emails, whatever that looks like.
Which is still resources. Like, again, all of it's ad spend, or we're moving into this world of who's worth credits. Like, who's worth me spending a credit on this person? What threshold of what means that I need to like now spend credit?
So that question that Casey just asked, who should this team? First of all, I haven't heard anything about scoring that actually helps the buyer. It's always internally focused. What do we need to do because we decided we need to do it, like suggesting we have control.
Right.
But the question of who should they connect with on LinkedIn, right? We're suggesting that if it's lead, MQL, SQL, like it's unclear and we need this other mechanism to decide who to connect with, right? Which of these stages on the screen right now, Riley, do you want to connect with on LinkedIn?
None.
All of them. Why not all of them?
So yeah, it's either or. It's basically, this doesn't matter. It's my preference of when and how I connect with people on LinkedIn, which doesn't overlay with this, which means it's all or none, basically at the same time.
And
it just goes to how I prefer to operate my LinkedIn.
All. But this is why customer marketing sucks. Because we suggest only the scoring, like the lowest hanging fruit for almost every organization is to go connect with your damn customers on LinkedIn. Like,
yeah,
because you already have a relationship, right?
Well, you can begin laying the foundation for one. Yeah.
Right. And the reason it needs to be broken up is because we put people, okay, the deal just got activated. Time for onboarding. Okay, everybody's value creator. Well, a bunch of people don't know us.
Yeah.
Right. So we're going to call them customers. And then when we do outreach, they've never heard of our company before and they think we're spamming them. We need to know that they're audience. Those people are in audience mode at that point. Right. So the reason this is such a difference of structure is that it supports nonlinear journeys across the organization.
I think where I keep getting stuck, and this is what you keep saying, Chris, to be clear. So I think we're all aligned, but like I gave that whole spiel and you were like, you didn't talk about where that benefits the end user, the audience, the researcher, the people. But to like Riley's point, we get paid by companies.
Yeah. And there's no world, like I would say half of the purchasing decisions that I make professionally and personally are when someone like obtrusively gets in my way with a brand or with something that I'm not like seeking them out, but they are like hitting me up and then they educate me. They're like a half step ahead of me, pulling me along, and then I'm in. I don't see how this works in that. Like, I don't
Your audience, until they make you move to researcher by sharing some kind of valuable thing. Like, oh, I now appreciate the fact that they have bullied their way into my life,
But
because I
then that
actually do have that problem.
But then that makes me feel like, and maybe this is true, but that makes me feel like that makes me think that I can use lead scoring to identify who's the researcher. And I think you might have, is
Sure.
as long as they're doing trackable activity and things. Like, again, if I'm going to their website and clicking a bunch of stuff, then sure. Like, I think that's a good viable thing. Or if they're using HubSpot Signal to see that my track term has increased from a certain thing that they offer over the last 30 days. Like, this is where we're getting to the nitty gritty, which I think is important because that's where my brain goes. But like, I just don't. How am I in there? Are they buying me and putting me in there? Like, how?
No, we don't want anybody to do that.
I
That's been a
know. So
known
how am I in
terrible
there?
practice.
How, like,
Yeah.
Why?
how am I in audience without them buying me and putting me in audience? Or how, like, how am I there?
Because you're a new father in, was it Alabama, Mississippi, whatever
I don't
the
know. The South is all the
demographics.
same.
But let's like.
Then
so
how do
you
they
came
get my phone number and my email?
I think it's the same, Riley, as always. So like,
They're buying it.
no, but if someone downloads an ebook from your,
I don't submit shit on anyone's website ever. Like, that person that's calling me that I don't even know their brand, but then I buy from them because I'm like, oh, that makes sense. Like, so it works. I'm not saying it's a good thing, but like, it is a working thing. I don't think you'll ever be able to convince a company that it's not worth investing into that motion because it works.
into the motion of buying lists.
No. Well, how did they know to reach out to me?
You have an online presence, whether you like it or not.
I know, but they bought my phone number and email. I didn't give it to them, but it worked. And I hate that it does, but it does.
Because
Like,
there is data alongside.
You're a company, you are constantly trying to talk to people that you need to talk to. And the best way to do that, there's ads, which is okay, but it still costs money. And then there's getting phone numbers and emails and actually trying to talk to people. Like, you got to have a conversation, and yet they have to convince me to go give them my information, or they buy my information.
Right, but
So I
there's
don't ever
always
fill out a form. Like, I fill out a form basically when I sign the contract is the first form that I fill out.
right.
That's just me personally.
Whatever has determined you as target audience is alongside the phone number and the email. And that could be one variable. That's just the CTO. We like CTOs that or 10 variables, right?
Yeah.
So that's target audience. Like, if you just put the word target in front of audience, it should be pretty easy.
Well,
now,
yeah, and then you start to get into, like, TAM and SAM and SOM and all this other stuff, which is very, different.
Right. But that's a sales, like it's a different strategic function,
yeah.
like that the software needs to support.
So are you saying, Chris,
now,
that very commonly we're going to see pretty much 0, 0, 100, like 0 audience, 0 researcher in our database in HubSpot?
No.
Okay.
No. Like, so I think what I'm describing right now is very easy to say lead equals audience. That, like, lead as we know it equals audience. Like, they're people that we care about, that if we get them the message of our value, they might start to move down. Right?
Correct.
The difference is, just like Casey went to pull up the engagement scoring, they cannot move down unless there is engagement, like real engagement.
Yeah.
Not perceived or like calculated engagement. Right? So, like, fit and like all that stuff is never going to be more than audience unless they have done something.
I 100% agree with that in the old model. I mean, I hate when fit does anything for progression. It's meaningless.
Right.
So
if we have, are these stage gate properties, like, is it you can only proceed forward in the way that we know them, like with Lifecycle stage?
No.
Okay.
Like, and here's an example of why. Like things that tank deals, right? We got so close to the finish line. And for 90% of the relationship or the information we've been sharing, they were in hero mode. They had all the information they needed. They understood it. They got other people on board. For this other 10%, let's say technical specifications that have not been confirmed as compliant. For that topic, like their audience, like they're still audience. So if we assume that they're in hero and they know everything about everything that's going on, we might give them a super technical white paper that they're not going to touch. And then what do? They share it with the person that actually does know, who is also still audience at this point because they've never been involved in the process. And because there's no trust, because there's nothing built for that person, they're like, nope, that's not going to work. Like, move on, kill the deal. We make so many assumptions, like based on these stage names, that we cannot. This is a part of like the whole human being thing. Like, they have different things in the process that they have to worry about, and there's different people in the process that have to be brought in. And just because this guy's the champion and they've got us this far, it doesn't stop anybody who we have not built trust with from coming in and just like pulling out the rug. And if we label that other person, because the company is an opportunity, so they're just opportunity label. Like, if we label them that way and we've never met them before, it doesn't work out.
I hate doing that anyway. I discourage that from every portal I'm logged into. Like, there's so much here that I think can be differentiated based off of like what's the best way in general using the existing structure and systems. Because to me, you don't sync Lifecycle stage and company in contact ever, period. I don't care if you are strictly B2B and every contact is considered a customer. They're
Right.
not. Like, everyone's on their own individual interaction with your brand. And then to this point of there's, kind of first to the post kind of benchmarking with these stages of like, all right, you got to opportunity, you're an opportunity forever. That's good for reporting only, not good for what are they now. Of, you need to be able to kind of fluctuate between, well, they're not an opportunity now, they're actually down below again. Like, which to me, like, those are all different properties. Like, you never want one property to be accomplishing one thing or too many things, because it's impossible. It needs to just be accomplishing one thing.
I think where we disagree sounds like, because when you keep on saying things like, I think we can make the old system work. I talk about the DNA of softwares, right?
Yeah.
Like ERP systems that try to add on CRMs. CRMs suck because the DNA of that system is ERP.
Yep.
Right. The DNA of our current problems is leads, is a lead-based funnel structure. And as long as that's in play, there's no reason to believe that the behavior can change. So I'm taking a very strong stance that the word lead inherently dehumanizes the person on the other side. The word audience does not. The word researcher does not. The word hand raiser does not. So that helps. It doesn't solve for this problem, but removing that piece of the puzzle, it's harder for some human being to look at it and say, well, it's just another number to me today.
That's a good point.
Because as long as that's in play, then the KPIs are making the decisions, not the humans. involved.
I can see it. I cannot understand how to navigate the conversation to get someone to agree to it.
And that's why we're here. This
Yeah.
this is an automatic. Like if you get the other agreements up front, then it gets to a point where why wouldn't you do it this way?
Yeah. No, to your point, like if I was starting my own company right now and was, creating a CRM and gonna hire a team and all this stuff, like I would just do it this way and force everyone to comply with it, and it would be okay. And I could see the benefits, but like without that,
Riley,
I don't
everyone.
know I don't know how to change someone's mind about that.
Have you been in sales?
No, I
No,
freaking
right?
hate it.
Yeah. Right.
I was in
it's
it for
all
a year
about
and it did not go well for me.
it's all about tying to the pain. Like, have they ever been in a CRM that was adopted? Well, have they ever seen clean data? Have they ever seen lead scoring that worked? Do they like the words lead, MQL, SQL?
No. And then to me, their response is, the companies have had success. Like that's never gotten in the way of making money. It's obviously suboptimal, but like, how do you, like, if I don't know, like, yeah, it is, but like, I just live with it and it's okay. if I'm thinking of how they would answer it.
But then you don't really care about all the other things, which maybe you don't. But if the
No,
pain
I
is
do.
related to adoption of a CRM, and I don't like the fact that my marketing and sales teams can't ever get on the same page.
Yeah.
I guarantee you common language and lack thereof is at the root of that problem.
That's fair.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So this is not going to be easy. And I'm glad we're having this discussion because if we believe in it, we all need to get better at like talking about it in this way.
Yeah. I'm approaching this very much like there's some philosophical idea that I want the world to reflect, and I'm just trying to figure out can it? There's versions of a utopia that you're just like in real life philosophy that you're like, well, let's just discuss if we think we can get there or not. There's people that want it to exist but don't think we can get there, and there's people that want it to exist that think we can. I want to get into think we can camp, but I'm in the like I don't understand how camp right now.
That's understandable.
That seemed
ring the bell.
critical.
All right. See you next week.
We need some judges.
We can do a timer to see how long it takes for Riley to start yelling next week.
I'm doing it because I'm like passionate and trying to understand, not because I'm frustrated.
No, I know.
Sorry. And because you're frustrated, I think.
Well, I'm frustrated because
you're passionate.
By my not getting something, I think. Or like, it's not frustrated at anyone. It's more my brain frustrated at me for being me.
It's not for being you. First of all, let's get that clear. Like, here's an example of why, too. Because I think I've been working with Claude, like prospecting and prospects inherently look like they don't fit anywhere in here. Like it's a completely different motion.
Mm-hmm.
And so I started coming up with like a cute like adjustment so that we don't have to change every single word. Right. And so I went with prospectors because they're the ones prospecting us for value.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Mm-hmm. And Claude went with that. But then when he like summed it all up at the end, he was like, instead of prospects, researchers or prospectors. He basically said, dude, what? That's what you're describing researchers right now.
Yeah.
Like what? Right. And because I'm starting from a place of the word that everybody's used to using, I can't detach and like move to the very plain word that is describing the person that is a prospector. They are doing research for valuable options that are going to solve their problem.
Yeah.
Right. So we don't need another word.
No, you just
Right.
need like
And
willing
why?
or unwilling researcher.
And the main reason we have another word is because marketing team's supposed to be doing this, sales team's supposed to be doing this. How do we differentiate for sales? Well, we're going to call those prospects, and those are only for sales. And then we're going to make a prospecting agent, and we're just going to try to get AI to do our bad human things, and it's not going to work. So
See you
there you have
next.
Yeah, I'm with you. I need to be more with you, but I'm getting there.
We'll get there. It's a journey.
Well,
right.
yeah, we'll be back next week as we continue on this journey publicly. And if the sun is down, maybe you'll be back here too. All right.
Thanks, everybody.